San Diego 6 News in the morning.
And what's the link between diabetes and cancer? Do you have any idea that there was one? This morning, a molecular scientist direct from the Salk Institute to fill us in. You know, we have talked a lot about diabetes research here in San Diego because San Diego is on the absolute cutting edge of eventually finding a cure here. Now, some other things tend to happen, though, when you're doing research. Sometimes you make discoveries, it's called serendipity, where you just find out information that relates to something that you didn't even expect to find. Well, Dr. Ruben Shaw is here this morning from the Salk Institute. He's a molecular and cell biologist. Talk to me about this research that you've been doing on diabetes and how blood is regulated, and sugar is regulated in the system and so forth, as it relates to diabetes.
Yep, exactly. So we were trying to understand how the most widely used type 2 diabetes drug in the world, called metformin, it's used by 100 million people, it's the most common treatment, how that lowers blood glucose levels. And we made an unexpected connection between a new enzyme that actually affects those blood glucose levels. Now the surprise came in that there already are drugs and pharmaceutical companies making drugs against it, in fact, but in that case they were trying to make drugs that treat cancer. So we're now hopeful that some of these drugs might be able to be used in the treatment of diabetes, and it's a very unexpected link.
See, it's so exciting when stuff like this happens, but it doesn't happen unless somebody is aware and makes the connection. Otherwise, you could be in two different labs, working on stuff in different parts of the world and never. How does that communication take place between scientists?
Yeah, well, I think at different research institutions, the Salk is a relatively small research institution with investigators that work on cancer and diabetes, neurological disease, and there's a lot of communication between the scientists, and so the lines of who's studying basic research and who's doing cancer research often blurs, which is great because it helps foster this type of development, which seems like serendipity, but in fact people were looking for treatments for cancer, and then out of that grows a new understanding of a broader sense of disease.
Kind of explain, just for folks that maybe don't quite understand, what the problem is with diabetes. Because you've been approaching this from two different levels, raising blood sugar levels and lowering blood sugar levels. So what's the problem with diabetes, first off?
So in diabetes, in diabetic patients, there's too much blood glucose. So their blood glucose levels are higher across the day, which is why you always are monitoring your blood glucose.
And trying to keep it down.
They're trying to keep it down.
Insulin helps do that because their body doesn't produce enough.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, what happens is their bodies become desensitized to insulin. There's a difference between type 1 and type 2, but in both cases you have an inability to respond to insulin. So the commonly used drugs, including this drug metformin that I just referred to, that acts to lower blood glucose separately from insulin. So we were trying to find new targets, effectively new drug targets, that would be the same types of things that metformin does. In other words, to make a better metformin. The unexpected connection was to the set of enzymes that weren't even known to be involved in glucose control at all, and the serendipity was that other people, for different reasons, had been studying them, trying to make cancer therapeutics.
Now, I was reading this scientific journal letter, and I don't pretend to understand, but maybe 1% of what I read. But I thought I saw something interesting in there about, you're talking about lowering glucose levels with medication.
Yep.
Weren't you also studying the mechanism that causes blood sugar levels to rise in the body as well? Yeah,
we had been...
Maybe attacking it from that direction?
Yeah, we had been studying effectively both sides of this coin, as you say. In a sense, we had actually been originally doing cancer research, studying an enzyme that actually normal function is to suppress cancer, and trying to understand how that works. That led us to discover that the major thing it does in the cell is it actually activates a different enzyme that suppresses glucose and lipid levels. Again, another unexpected connection there, revealing that you can dampen down glucose, and when you lose that cancer gene, you get sky-high levels of glucose. In practical terms, the good news is that the common treatments that are used, whether it be exercise or some of the existing therapeutics, that they actually will work in a broad set of people to help lower blood glucose level. But of course, as scientists, we're always trying to improve upon that, and I think we're very excited about some of these new possibilities.
Sure.
In fact, exercise and some of these diabetes drugs can lower the risk of certain forms of cancer People are very unaware of that. There are certain forms of cancer that are in increased rates in diabetic patients. And in fact, things that help improve your blood glucose also actually lower your cancer risk. So it's a really good idea to try to get your blood glucose under control, and we're excited that some of these new findings can help for these new treatments.
It's amazing how often it comes back to diet and exercise, isn't it? Before I let you go, how close are we to getting a handle on diabetes? I mean, are you optimistic that this could happen in our lifetime at least?
I would say that unequivocally, that this will happen in our lifetime. I think over the course of the next 5 years or so, certainly 5 to 10 years, more and better specific, rational, scientific, targeted drugs are going to keep rolling out to help in different ways synergize to lower blood glucose, improve insulin response, and I think it's actually a really exciting time in diabetes research, also in cancer research. And only in the past 10 years have some of our detailed knowledge really helped make new drugs. For people who are interested, in fact, the Salk Institute is going to have a special event open to the public specifically on obesity, diet, and diabetes. And it's going to have a panel of scientists from UCSD, Scripps, and the Salk. This is going to be on September 13th, and you can go to the Salk website, www.salk.edu/diabetes, and get more information. But we really want to encourage the public to
come out and take full advantage of this. And you'll explain it just like you did to me in terms of people can understand.
Definitely.
Okay, very good.
I'll be there.
Doctor, great to see you.
Thank you.
And please continue to come back and update us. This is exciting stuff happening in our own backyard.
That's right. Thank you so much.
Good to see you. All right, for more information, go to san-diego6.com, click on Hot Topics, and we'll put a link there so that you can get to the Salk Institute and get to that event on the 13th as well.